welcome to the Old Farts Fix-It Corner. You guessed it, I'm the Old Fart. What the Fix-It Corner is all about is me sharing with you some of the tricks and the things that I learned and the experience that I got through 20 plus years in the construction business to help you fix some of the things at home and save some money by doing it yourself. So let's look at the next project. Alright then, in this next project we are going to install kitchen wall cabinets and base cabinets along this kitchen wall. The kitchen already has cabinets in it, so the cabinets that we're going to use will be unfinished cabinets that we will match the stain. So, as I mentioned, the existing cabinets in the kitchen were already stained, and what we did to try and match is we bought unfinished cabinets. The faces and the doors were made with oak. And so what we did is we took one of the doors off of the existing cabinets, took it to the local paint store along with a piece of oak, and asked them to match it. You have to find a local paint store that has someone there who can do a custom match of stain. As you can see on this piece of oak, they tried several different stains, several different mixes, until they found one that matched. And so we brought that home and tried it out, and it matched pretty well. First steps in preparing these unfinished cabinets to be installed is to take the doors off, and we need to sand the face of the cabinet down and sand the doors and prepare them to be stained. So I'm not going to videotape much of the sanding process because honestly I don't want to get dust in my camera. But typically I will turn these over. You can see I have the bench cookies here to keep the surface from getting marred, and I will sand the back first. And I don't do a big amount of sanding on the back because it's not going to be seen. And I use 250 grit paper on a random orbitable sander to sand it all. Then I will flip it over and I'll sand the front. I'll use this little corner sander to get into the corners. And finally I'll use a piece of hand sandpaper to get to any of the spots that I can't get to with any of these other sanders. Once you get everything sanded and you're ready to stain, I suggest wearing rubber gloves so that you don't get any oil from your skin on the surface of the wood. And one thing I forgot to mention, when you're sanding with the hand sander, especially, you want to make sure that you sand with the grain, not across the grain. Because if you sand across the grain, you'll put scratches in the surface. So sand with the grain. Alright, before I put stain on, I usually take and use an air compressor and blow all the dust off. And then I'll take a soft cloth and try to pick up any remaining dust that might be on it. You'd be surprised, even though you blow it off with an air compressor, how much dust will remain on the project. So I'll take it up, pick it up like that, and make sure that I get all the dust off of it. It's not as critical with the stain, but when you go to put your clear coat on, you want to make sure that you are dust-free and dust-free environment. Alright, we're going to get ready to stain this. Alright, I found through trial and error that this stain best matches my old cabinets if I put it on and wipe it off almost immediately. If it soaks in too much, then the green tint that it has tints it too green. So I'm going to start out by doing these outside edges. I'm not worried about getting this little cove in here. I'm basically just trying to get this outside edge. And these end grains really suck it in quick. So I wipe them off pretty fast. I don't know if you can tell or not, but this end grain right here has already turned pretty green. I'm making sure that I wipe it out of this cove because this is actually going to get another coat when we do the face. Okay, so I do want to do the back first, so I'm going to lay it face down on the bench donuts. And then we're going to go ahead and do this base. I'm going to start by doing the inside here, making sure I brush it, the stain into the edges. And if you'll notice when I apply the stain, I also, just like when we sand, I try to go with the grain as much as possible. Alright, before I do the outside surrounding, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this panel. See how quickly it picks up the green. Alright, once that's done, I'll go ahead and get these outside edges. I'm really trying to just do the surface, not do the sides, because we already did them. Alright, we're going to go ahead and wipe them down, starting where we started, right there. And then we did this one. We're going to go ahead and wipe it down. And it was this one here. And then this one finally. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we got everything good, wiped down well. We don't want any runs bleeding through. Alright, now before we flip this over, what we're going to do is install one of these hooks. These are specifically made to fit in these holes for the hinges. And then you fold it down and it, no, that one's not working. Try that one. When you fold it down, it expands and grabs a hold of the hole. Alright, now we're going to flip it over and do the other side. We can take this out of there. Okay. Now we're ready to do this side. Now you can see some of the stain bled through. got a little run there, so we want to get that cleaned up right away. Alright, just like the back side, we want to do this inside panel first. We do want to make sure we get in these edges, but I made a mistake on the back. I had a little too much stain on my brush, and it was bleeding through because it was too much. It was running through. So I'm going to use a fairly dry brush to go around the edges first, and then we'll fill in the center. Again, brushing the stain on with the grain. All right. Now that we have the center done, we'll go ahead and do the outside edges. Want to make sure you keep your stain stirred so that the color stays pretty uniform all the way through. Alright, once we got it all on there, time to wipe it back off. Because of the little groove in here, I'm having to use my fingernail to get in that groove. And the same down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's like fingerprints where I've touched this. Now, one of the best ways to keep that from happening is to use another cloth. And wipe over it again. just to try and even out any blotches that might be there from my hands or from the stain. Take a look, make sure got all these edges wiped down good. Don't want any runs or thick parts there. All right. We got our all wiped down, we'll go hang her up so she can dry. So basically, we'll just go through the same process for all of the wall cabinet and base cabinet doors, and then the oak faces. Then after the stain has completely dried, I like to give it about 48 hours just to make sure. I will give it a clear coat finish. I typically use a satin finish for all furniture type objects. And I prefer to use lacquer, because if the item is ever damaged in any way, lacquer is very easy to repair. I like to say it's almost self-healing. We'll probably touch on stain and finish in some of the other segments, but not in any kind of depth. There are plenty of other YouTube videos talking about this subject, and they're at least as knowledgeable as anything that I could share with you. The next segment is going to be on room and wall cabinet preparation.